Hello, I'm Richard Vobes, the Bald Explorer, and I'm on my search of England, my quest for England, and I'm in search of Sussex. I'm following Off the Beaten Track by Arthur Stanley Cooke. This is the third of my little series following in his footsteps, and he started at Bramber. We went to Upper Beeding, and we then followed a little bit of the Ada to Botolph's Church and the ancient village of Botolph and Annington that's no longer there. And I've carried on to Coombes, which has its wonderful church and the lovely farm, and I'm making my way slowly towards Shoreham. The River Ada is just over that way from me, and behind me is a stream. I've driven along this road, which is now tarmacked, but 100 years ago, when Arthur Stanley Cooke wrote his book in 1911 to 12, this was just a track and not so easy to travel on. He mentions before that it's covered in grass. I've driven on it and past this point never knowing there was this beautiful stream, the Ladywell stream he mentions in here. Next to me is a little scouts hall where they obviously go scouting, and presumably they get to explore the stream more. It's all on private property, it would seem. So as I came from Coombes, you passed Applesham Farm, which was around then, and we make our way towards the Sussex Pad, or what was the Sussex Pad, Lancing College, down to the old toll bridge, and then across to St Nicholas's Church at Old Shoreham. The Ladywell stream seems to come off the downs. It seems to have a lot of water, but it collects, I guess, and comes off the downs, and then it runs into this channel here, which is going parallel to the road, and then eventually it feeds into the Ada. So, you know, gravity's doing its thing, and there it is. It looks beautifully clean. Just taking a slight detour off the road here, just to see where the Ladywell stream comes out, and it seems to come out by the little, I suppose, a sluice gates or some sort of dam there, which lets the fresh water out. But the sea, the estuary, the salt water, from coming in, which comes in, and then the stream carries on and meets up with the main Ada, which actually streaks across that way back up towards Bramber. So fascinating. Obviously the tide is out at the moment. Gorgeous part of the day. If I just take a little bit more of a detour and I carry along the side of the Ada, I'm hoping that through these trees somewhere I should see, aha, here we are, Lancing College, poking its nose, or its roof anyway, above the height of the trees. And there it is, Lancing College. It's interesting, in Arthur's book he calls it St Mary's and St Nicholas College, originally founded in 1868 but not dedicated until 1911, and it's still not complete today. They're still raising the money to build it. It must be one of the latest foundations of such wonderful Gothic architecture that ever there was, and it's up there on its own bluff and overlooks the whole estuary, the Ada estuary, and of course it looks down on St Nicholas Church. But it's absolutely fantastic there with those wonderful copper beach that seems to be surrounding it. So Arthur takes a little detour just somewhere, obviously we don't know quite where, to have a gander. Oh, there's a gate here. There's actually a public footpath, which is rather good. So you can, I don't know whether it actually goes up there, or I don't know whether they allow people to go and see it, but it is a beautiful thing, and it's a terrific landmark. There is another landmark, the Sussex Pad. That was a tavern, a hotel, a place for travellers, and it dates back to the 15th century. Now, there was no bridge at that time across the river. They would have had to have come across by ferry, I assume, but over time, during perhaps the 18th century, there was the old toll bridge. The Sussex Pad, also a landmark now for travellers, but a perfect place, notorious for smugglers, because the basements apparently were great for the contraband. There was a fire in 1905, so I don't know what situation it would have been in 1911 when Arthur came tramping by, but there's every reason to think, of course, that it would have been rebuilt and back operating again. He mentions it in his book, and then he heads down towards the old toll bridge. Even now, just after lockdown, the A27 still quite busy. People are going back to work. Well, as indeed I am. So he would have come across here past the Sussex Pad. This wouldn't have been like this, of course. And over the other side of the road is Shoreham Airport, or as I think it's now called, the Brighton City Airport, or some such nonsense. And it's just over there. I'm going to cross over there and have a look at it. There's a little gap in the hedge here, so we can get a view of the airport. We can see the 1930s control tower and a little bit of the runway as well. It's interesting, a chap called Harold Pifford flew from this when it was just, I think, basically a field in 1910, but it wasn't until 1911 that Shoreham Airport actually officially opened. So he doesn't mention it in the book, so I don't know quite what state it was in or whether it was worth mentioning, but he does get down to the toll bridge, which is where I'm going now. Lancing College still dominates the view. Well, this is the bridge, an old toll bridge, opened in 1768, carried on, had various different mishaps and adventures, but it closed to traffic in 1970 and has been a public footpath across here ever since. And apparently this is the only type of wooden structure like this across a river in the world today. That does seem quite incredible, but that's what I've read. Absolutely wonderful bridge. The rest of the bridge, I mean the other side of the bridge, goes over towards Old Shoreham, and you've got St Nicholas Church just up on the hill there, and Arthur goes as far as the church. And that's the end of the first chapter. He starts this again in Stenning. So I think this is probably the end of my first part of the adventure. So don't forget to follow, like and subscribe, become a patron, support what I do, and I'll carry on off the beaten track with Arthur Stanley Cooke. Give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it, and we'll start the next chapter in the next little series. Till then, thanks for watching. Bye bye. Bye bye.